The Chesapeake Bay Summit, Charting a Course, is made possible by the MPT Foundation New Initiatives Fund, established by Irene and Edward H. Kaplan.
The Chesapeake Bay, one of the world's most beautiful places, once called the Land of Pleasant Living. 200 miles of estuary, but also a complex network of over 100,000 rivers and streams, 64,000 square miles of watershed, stretching from New York to the District of Columbia, through 6 states, freshwater flowing into the saltwater of the ocean. Once the world's most productive estuary, the bay supplied the world with more than half its oysters. It was home to thousands of watermen and a thriving seafood industry. Maryland blue crabs were world famous. Record harvests of rockfish, shad, and perch made the bay a fisherman's and a nature lover's paradise. That was then. No longer the most productive, the Chesapeake Bay is now the world's most studied estuary. Chesapeake oyster stocks have fallen to just 1% of their historic levels. Runoff pollution from nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus feed huge dead zones in the water that suffocate marine life. There is polluted stormwater from cities and suburbs, sediment from Pennsylvania farm fields, pet waste, car exhaust, household chemicals. 17 million people now live in the Bay watershed. More are on the way. Pollution has taken a terrible toll on the Chesapeake Bay. More than $15 billion have been spent trying to clean it up. There's been some success, yet after decades of effort, the Chesapeake Bay still fails to meet federal water quality standards. In 2009, President Obama signed an executive order giving the Environmental Protection Agency authority to regulate and enforce cleanup of the Chesapeake. The EPA put the Chesapeake on a pollution diet, a set of regulations that limits and reduces over time the amount of nutrients that can escape into the bay from sewage treatment plants, farms, septic systems, suburban lawns, storm runoff systems, and many other sources of pollution. The EPA set 2025 as the date by which the bay should be cleaned up. But many experts say more needs to be done, that to meet the deadline, we need more creative and aggressive solutions, new ideas to accelerate progress and bring this national treasure, this land of pleasant living, back to health. That calls for a different kind of conversation, and that's why we're here tonight at Maryland Public Television's 2015 Chesapeake Bay Summit. And good evening, and welcome to our viewers at home and to our studio audience here at Maryland Public Television's 2015 Chesapeake Bay Summit. I'm your host and moderator, Frank Sesno, and it is a great privilege to be here. As we just saw, the Chesapeake Bay is the nation's largest and one of its most important estuaries. It's also under siege because it confronts enormous environmental problems that our society is having a very difficult time solving. That's not to say that things haven't improved. In fact, there has been some progress, but not enough. So tonight, we're going to explore some of the Bay's particular problems and specific cleanup strategies that over the years haven't worked as well as we'd hoped. But more importantly, we're going to try something different. We're going to work here to create a list of ideas, some new ways of thinking about cleaning up the Bay in the future. The list of ideas that we create tonight won't be complete or conclusive, but they will be an effort to articulate something specific. And over the next 18 months, Maryland Public Television and our partners for this initiative at The Bay Journal will follow up to see how we're doing. So to create this list, tonight we have a panel of some of the world's foremost experts on the Chesapeake Bay. We'll hear their thinking on the matter in just a few minutes. But to start, let's see why we hear so much about nutrients in the water. It's one of the biggest reasons why the Bay is in such trouble. Perhaps no problem facing the Chesapeake Bay is more difficult to solve than nutrient pollution. Coming mostly from human sewage and animal waste, these invisible molecules of nitrogen and phosphorus are carried into the waterways by rain and runoff. Discharge and spills from wastewater treatment systems also add to the overload. When microscopic plants that live in the water consume the nutrients, their numbers can grow very quickly. Scientists call it an algae bloom. Blooms can be very large, and some trigger fish kills. This happens when the algae dies and its decomposition removes dissolved oxygen from the water. Scientists call areas with low dissolved oxygen dead zones. These are places where fish, oysters, and crabs cannot survive. At their peak, dead zones can span almost the entire length of the bay. The Chesapeake Bay will not recover unless nutrient pollution is reduced. Already, hundreds of wastewater treatment plants have been upgraded to remove nutrients as efficiently as possible. Maryland's Bay Restoration Fund, also known as the Flush Fee, has helped pay for many of these improvements. New research has led to farming policies and practices that have helped reduce nutrient runoff from agriculture. Some practices are voluntary, others are required by law. Most farmers file nutrient management plans with the State Department of Agriculture. These plans limit the amount of manure that can be used as fertilizer to try to keep it within acceptable levels and out of the bay. While levels of excess nitrogen and phosphorus have declined over the past 3 decades, the Chesapeake Bay still fails to meet federal water quality standards. And every season, the threat of dead zones returns. As we saw, nitrogen and phosphorus are responsible for a lot of the problems we're seeing in the Chesapeake Bay and for marine life like crabs, oysters, fish. Joining me here tonight to start the conversation off are some of the world's experts on the Chesapeake Bay and the problems we face cleaning it up. First, Dr. Donald Bosch, professor of marine science and president of the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Studies. Dr. Bosch is a world-renowned expert on the Bay and has conducted research on it for more than 3 decades. Next, Tim Wheeler has reported for the Baltimore Sun on environmental growth and development issues for 25 years and is past president of the Society of Environmental Journalists. Kim Coble is a scientist who is vice president of environmental protection and restoration for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. In that role, she directs all policy, advocacy, and restoration efforts throughout the watershed for the CBF. Lynn Hoot manages 8 state and regional agricultural organizations, serving as the executive director for 4. She spent her career in agriculture and has a deep understanding of the complex issues surrounding the Chesapeake and farming. And finally, Rena Steinzer. She's professor of law at the University of Maryland Francis King Carey School of Law and is the president of the Center for Progressive Reform, whose work is to improve public protection of health, consumer and worker safety, and the environment. So welcome to you all. Looking forward to the conversation. Now, as I mentioned, the main reason we're here tonight is to make a list of bay cleanup strategies, some that haven't worked so well, pair them with a list of new ideas that could perhaps work better. We asked each of our panelists in advance to identify some of the most significant obstacles to stopping nutrient pollution. Then we asked them for an alternative strategy or of an idea. Now, of course, there are many issues affecting the Chesapeake. It's impossible to mention them all, no matter how important they are. But our panelists have drawn on their experience and their creativity to get the conversation started. So let's start with Dr. Bosch. You said agricultural nutrient management requires substantial and unsustainable public subsidies, and there is weak accountability. You said a good corrective strategy would require a cap on nutrient surplus and make subsidies conditional. Tim Wheeler, you believe that widespread denial and blaming someone or something else has been a major obstacle to clean up progress. And you said we need to come clean and open up the data. Kim Coble, you believe a lack of resources available to farmers for the implementation of best management practices has been a problem for cleanup. And you write that a solution would be to increase and target financial and technical resources to farmers through state and federal cost sharing. Lynn Hoot, you write there's not enough technical assistance and support for farmers in the watershed, and stopping nutrient pollution and that establishing additional technical assistance could help achieve cleanup goals more quickly. And Rena Steinzer, you said that there simply isn't enough government enforcement of anti-pollution regulations, and there should be a greater commitment by government to enforce them. So let's get right to it. And Dr. Bosch, I'm going to come over and I'm going to start with you because, well, you're the closest here. Yes. And we might as well start. So you talk about unsustainable public subsidies with weak accountability. Now, you say the way to get at this is to require a cap on nutrient surplus and to make subsidies conditional. First, explain the cap on nutrient surplus.
Sure. Well, farmers are small businessmen, so they're used to managing for a bottom line. This is the nitrogen and phosphorus bottom line, so that a farmer is allowed to use as much fertilizer, manure, and so on to produce the crop that they do. So the nitrogen and phosphorus in the crop, you can only use a small percentage more then you take off. So you manage that input and output.
So you would benchmark that, and if you go over the surplus, then what?
Then it's performance based. So that if you regularly exceed the application, then you're at jeopardy with getting the governmental subsidies, both the conservation subsidies that we pay as well as the commodity subsidies.
So in other words, if you exceed your targets, you get money cut back in the subsidies that you would otherwise get.
So there's a real built-in incentive.
So Lynn, let me ask you about that. You understand farms and agriculture and the challenges they're up against. Would that work? Is that unfairly targeting farmers?
I think one of the things that we have to be careful with, Maryland is such a small state when we're producing food. When we produce food, we can't put an extra price tag on it because our consumers can buy from everywhere else. So we have to really look at that, Don, and see if there's some options for opportunities to incorporate that sort of idea into a program because the last thing we want, I mean, farms add a lot of value to us, that they provide our food, but they also provide open space and a lot of other things that we look to farming for. So I think we have to be careful that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, just trying to achieve one goal and lose a lot of others.
Can we have livestock farms that don't pollute?
Yes, and we do.
I mean, animals do that thing that pollutes a lot.
As we do. But we do have farms that don't pollute or pollute to a level that's acceptable and protects our environment. And there's good models out there. They're getting awards, and we think we should actually be telling them those success stories.
How do you make it happen?
Well, as Lynn pointed out, we need federal policy to be aligned to make it fully effective. But we do need, as Lynn pointed out, to preserve the agricultural production as well as the open space. Unfortunately, we in Maryland have every good reason to be the leaders in the nation to come up with these innovative strategies, and then based upon that leadership, it can be extended elsewhere in the country.
Tim Wheeler, let me turn to you. Your problem, your obstacle, denial and blaming someone or something else. Yep. Your way around that is to change laws to make nutrient management compliance data available online. Connect those dots for us. How do you go from denial and blaming to online data that's going to correct that problem?
Information is power. Information shows people what's being done and what's not being done. What I've seen over the years is that when you get down to talking about cleaning up the bay, everybody points to somebody else.
So what do you want online?
Well, what I'd like to see online is environmental compliance data.
From
all
whom?
of it. Well, let's talk about the farm sector first of all. Agriculture is the leading source of nutrient and sediment pollution into the bay. The primary way in which we try to deal with that is through requiring farmers to develop plans where they spell out how much fertilizer, nitrogen and phosphorus they're going to put on their land to raise their crops. Those plans, by law, are private. We don't get to know what they're doing on their land. In other states, Pennsylvania, those plans are public. The public is invited to comment on them even.
So your thought here is you'd require every farmer to have a management plan and have this data, and these data would be available online for all to see?
The plans are required, and almost every farmer has one. The question is, what do they say? And how are they being followed? There's a big part of the push-pull here in political debate is between environmentalists and the farm community who don't trust each other.
Let me turn to you, since you're a lot about regulation. What do you think about this idea? Who would do it? Would it make a difference?
I think more information would really help. But the most important thing is to hold people accountable when they don't do what they said they were going to do. And by this I mean the federal government, the state government, and polluters, not just polluters. So we've had 30 years of collaborating to nowhere on the Bay, and it's time to get some enforceable requirements where people are penalized if they don't do what they said they were going to do.
Lynn, you're our agricultural expert. How are farmers and advocate? How are farmers going to react to this, and why shouldn't they make that data available?
I think one of the things that's important to know is about 65% of the land, particularly on the Eastern Shore, is rented land. Those nutrient management plans contain a lot of business information that will let somebody, it's almost like a tax return, how much crop you got, how much fertilizer you used, and the fellow farmers can use that to underbid the farmland from the other farmers. So it's as much a concern about the environmental community seeing those plans as it is their business competitors, and farmers are business competitors. So I know there's going to be a lot of concern about that. But I think it's important to note that the Maryland Department of Agriculture is the enforcement agency. And in the last fiscal year, they went out to look at 733 farms out of those 55,000 operations. It's 13% of the farms that were actually inspected. And they actually went out this year and targeted people where they thought there were some concerns based on their annual implementation report. And 66% were in 100% compliance. But of the rest of them, there was only 3% that were actually causing water pollution problems by over-application.
So Don Bosch, as our scientist, somebody who deals with data all the time, what do you make of that fact? And could Tim's idea make a big difference?
Yes, I think it could, coupled with my idea, which is actually you're measuring quantities, measurable quantities, inputs and outputs, as opposed to, yes, I've complied with this, yes, I've complied with that. And if that were made publicly available, it would improve transparency, and there would be incentives with respect to continued federal and state assistance.
Okay, we have our first two ideas on the table. So, Kim, let me come to you. You cite an obstacle, lack of resources available to farmers for implementation of best management practices. And your suggestion is to increase and target financial and technical resources to farmers. What financial and technical resources should be made available to them?
Well, I think that there's a couple components to this. One is that not only do the farmers need resources, but to follow up on Rena's point, the state agencies need resources. These laws that we pass are only as good as they are in being implemented.
Let's define something for just a minute. Excuse me for interrupting. When we say resources, do we mean money?
Yes.
Okay. Keep going.
That's the political word for money, resources.
I just want to be sure we're all speaking the same language. Go ahead.
So our state agencies need it. We can't have enforcement of existing laws and make sure that things are being done right unless there's people on the ground inspecting. So we need to get those resources there. Additionally, there's quite a bit of money that comes into the state, either from the federal government or allocated by the state agencies or by the state legislature for cost share programs where they are helping to pay farmers. I believe that those funds, those cost share dollars, really need to be targeted. And a great example right now is a program called Cover Crops, where farmers put in a crop during the wintertime season to keep the soil in place and absorb some of the nutrients. So Cover Crops got $22 million this year in the legislature, and it's a first-come, first-served basis for those farmers.
So not enough.
Not enough, and why don't we spend those dollars on the farms that really need it, that are high polluting farms, that are on a slope where there's more chance of runoff? So really targeting those resources are key.
All right, Don, let me come back to you because I know you have strong feelings about this cover crop business, and you've looked at other countries to see where some of these things are done. How do we compare?
Right. Well, cover crops is a key management strategy, and in some countries this is required. It's not paid for by the government. You must do it as part of your plan. So ultimately, we have to work this into the cost.
When you say it's not paid for, it means you just have to bear that cost as the farmer.
That's right. It's internalized with respect to the production.
That's not what you're talking about, though.
That's not the way it's set up currently.
Here now.
Right. And could we afford that? Could our farmers afford that? Sounds like another regulation.
It does sound like another regulation, and Maryland farmers are regulated above and beyond any other state in the country. We're very proud of the goals that we've achieved, but we tend to be put at a competitive disadvantage to our fellow farmers. So we would have a concern with that.
Kim, let me give you the last word on that. What is your response to that?
I agree with Lynn that we have a lot of regulations on the books. They do need to be enforced, but there'll never be enough funds, whether the farmer pays for them, whether the agencies pay for them, whether the government pays for them. And so that's why I believe that targeting those funds is really critical.
So Lynn, let me move to you because your observation and your obstacle is somewhat related to this conversation, which is not enough technical assistance and support for farmers in the watershed. So you're being a good advocate there and making an obvious observation. Your alternative is establish additional technical assistance. What are you talking about in that regard?
Maryland farmers lead the country in the amount of best management practices that they have on the ground. They lead in the cover crop program, and they lead in the new innovation systems that are out there to help reduce nutrients applied for the crop. It's been done really because the governors and the state agencies have really supported farmers, knowing that those practices are not benefiting them, their farming operations. They're a cost of doing business. The other thing that's made this happen is the fact that we have really strong stewardship ethic in Maryland farmers. So they have really stepped above and beyond to get the job done. But one of the limiting factors is technical assistance through the soil conservation districts. And back in 1999, they even put in the law that there should be 110 field positions because they knew that for farmers to get that done, they needed help. Extension was to help writing plans. There's been a shortage there. But one of the real interesting ideas that I'm very excited about is the fact that we have some new technologies. We have GPS on nearly every tractor out there. We have monitors for yield on every combine, and we have variable rate application of fertilizer. And that technical, we need some assistance to help the farmers bring this brand new technology so we really can meet those nutrient goals.
I think this is a really important point and one worth explaining and exploring a little bit to see if it really is an alternative. People don't realize how high-tech agriculture has become in many ways. GPS, as you say, on every tractor. I remember talking to a Maryland farmer not long ago. He was talking about this whole new berming system and drainage system that he'd put in place on his farm, partly because he said it may be climate change, he doesn't know, but what were long soaking rains in the spring of his youth have now become downpours, and he has to manage runoff, as well as more regulation. Give us a couple of examples of the kinds of technology that could make a difference if farmers had the kind of assistance that you're talking about.
There's a new piece of equipment, and it's optical sensing. Optical sensing. It's the brand name that we speak of, and we call it the GreenSeek, although there are other brands. And this is optical sensors that go over a crop when it's 3 foot tall, over a corn crop. And it's looking and it's saying, this plant's got enough nitrogen, we don't need to give it any more. This one's looking poor, it's never going to make it, we're not going to give that one any either. And the crop in the middle, they're going to give that more fertilizer because they need it. So it's sort of done like this. And when they go over that, when farmers use their yield monitors, they may have 150 bushel yield average for that field. But when they go over it with their monitors, with their combine, this area here gets 80 bushels every year. This one's 250. This new technology, they will fertilize this one for 80 and this one for 250.
Tim Wheeler, you've written all sorts of stories about these sorts of things, this kind of precision agriculture. Can we marry this and make some of these changes make a substantial difference to the runoff and the nutrient pollution that's ending up in the bay? Is this an answer?
Well, I hope so. I think so.
Is it a fast
That kind of technology is not cheap.
Right.
And so, again,
resources
these issues of resources, the farmers are going to need help to acquire those. But again, I think it comes back to the issue, if we're giving them help to use this technology to help the bay, then we need to be able to see what is being done on the bay's behalf.
We're back online with your data.
Yes.
Okay. Rena Steinzer, your obstacle that you cite is insufficient enforcement of all these nutrient pollution regulations, and you want a greater commitment by government at all levels to undertake enforcement. So my question to you is, who? Which levels? Who's regulating? Who's enforcing?
Up until very recently, we didn't even have set limits that we had to meet in terms of water pollution until EPA set a pollution diet for the bay. EPA has said that if the states don't meet targets, it will impose consequences, including cutting federal funding for the states. That needs to happen, and it needs to happen before we fail. So, for example, Governor Hogan had threatened to withdraw phosphorus management regulations, and EPA immediately jumped in and said, if you don't put these out, you're going to be in trouble. We're going to hold you accountable, Maryland, for failing to meet these limits. And they came out. So I get a ticket when I speed. The IRS audits my tax return, and I am just a normal average citizen. Why shouldn't we hold the federal, state, local governments, and also other forms of pollution, sewage treatment plants, stormwater runoff?
So just put more teeth and sharper teeth in place to...
Consequences for failing to do what you say you're going to do.
What do you think of that, Tim Wheeler?
Again, the information is hard to come by. You know, you can get environmental compliance data. It's a matter of public record for stormwater runoff for businesses. But we have to trust the government to actually enforce those things. And that's where, again, it comes back to the issue of, are they actually doing their job? That's, again, hard to get at.
We have to trust the government. Might be something that's a difficult sell out on the street and among the public. We haven't talked very much about public support and political support for some of these ideas. Where do you see the greatest opportunity with these ideas that have been launched, including Rena's here?
More accountability, more information. I hate to sound like a broken record here.
Well, you sound like a journalist. It's more
it's
information.
self-serving, I'll admit. It means more stories for me. But the more people understand that we're all in this together and that we're all contributing to the problem and we all need to contribute to the solution, the less of that denial we're going to have and the more we're going to be able to move forward.
What about legislators in Annapolis? We've talked about the federal government. You talked about the governor. Where are the legislators in all this? Are they likely to go along? Don?
Well, I think you saw in the last session where on the phosphorus management tool, for example, that there was considerable support that if the governor wasn't going to do it through executive action, that the General Assembly was prepared to step in. So my reading is that there is an appetite for getting the work done, setting the right policies in the state. The governor has emphasized greater efficiency, and this goes into the targeting issue. If we can get the most for the dollars that we spend, that's a good thing to do. And transparency, he's also emphasized, and I think there's a lot of interest in both of those things in the General Assembly.
Is it possible to ask the question what farmers would support?
Farmers are supporting the PMT. We have
PMT?
The phosphorus management tool, which is essentially an equation to come up with a risk assessment of phosphorus in the soil and an application of phosphorus and what the risk of that phosphorus is in entering the waters. And that's a complex equation that's been developed, and they've been working to field truth it over the last 3 years. Went into effect. It will actually probably take effect June the 3rd, and the farmers supported a cap instantly on high phosphorus soils receiving no more poultry litter. So we did accept that. In the last couple of years, we've had mandatory buffers, we've had mandatory stream fencing, we've had mandatory no-fall fertilizer on small grains. So we've accepted a lot of things, and we've stepped up to the plate.
Rena Steinzer, it's not just farmers who are responsible for all this nutrient runoff. It's homeowners, it's businesses, it's parking lots. Should they be subject to your IRS audit and your speeding tickets in this same way? And how will the public respond if they do? Because we're all involved in this, aren't we?
We are, and I don't favor suing individual homeowners because the bay is a mess. But I do favor enforcing the law against developers who, when they build developments, often don't fence to keep runoff from coming from the dirt. We've talked a lot about crops. That's one problem. The other problem is what are known as concentrated animal feeding operations, huge chicken houses. We have sewage treatment plants that we all use. We're used to those being sewage treatment being very inexpensive. In fact, the cost for the bay is higher.
Well, the governor just went along with some moves to curb some of the chicken waste in the on the Eastern Shore in particular. Is that going to make a big difference, very briefly, because we're about to move on?
Yes, that will make a difference. It would also make a difference if the big chicken companies like Purdue and Amick Farm were responsible for what the small farmer does in raising their chickens.
Rena, thanks to you and thanks to all for this conversation on nutrients. More to come. We've been talking about nutrient pollution here, and what we've seen, what our panelists believe are some of the obstacles to progress in bay cleanup. They've created some of these alternative solutions we've been discussing that might work better. So let's just recap what they are so that we can all keep our scorecard straight. Require farm management under a cap on nutrient surplus and make subsidies conditional. Change laws to make nutrient management compliance data available online. increase and target financial and technical resources to farmers through state and federal cost share to encourage more best management practices, establish additional technical assistance to farmers to help them achieve their goals, and greater government enforcement of regulations. So nutrient pollution is one story, but it's by no means the only environmental problem that's damaged the Chesapeake Bay. Others range from air pollution to population, from development to our modern lifestyles. It's about choices and a question that we are a question really. Are we choosing to live in a way that will keep the bay diverse and productive and sustainable?
The Chesapeake Bay region is a great place to live, but as people multiply, pollution does too, and the population here has grown dramatically. Since 1950, our numbers have more than doubled, from about 8 million then to 18 million today, and by 2030 the total is expected to reach 20 million people. That's a problem, because humans generate many forms of pollution, and a lot of it reaches the bay. Plastic bags and bottles degrade in the water and release toxins. Pet waste, fertilizer, and pesticides wash off our lawns and end up in the bay. Cars, trucks, and buses affect water quality too. Their emissions contain nitrogen oxides, which account for 2/3 of the airborne nitrogen that ends up in the water. But most of all, humans consume land, forests, fields, and green spaces that otherwise slow the rush of stormwater and filter out pollutants headed towards the bay. More people means less natural green space and less filtering. It also means more man-made hard surfaces like roads, rooftops, and parking lots, surfaces that funnel unfiltered pollution directly into streams, rivers, and the Chesapeake. We now consume more land per person than ever before. Today, the average home is 50% larger than one built in 1973. Between 1990 and 2007, the hardened surfaces associated with single-family homes increased by 34%. So even while we band together to clean up the bay, the growing population and its growing demands mean that new sources of pollution will continue to accumulate. Many experts say this is not sustainable, that a lifestyle centered on consumption pollutes the air and water at an unsustainable rate and may actually leave a healthy bay permanently out of reach. Is it possible to clean up the Chesapeake in the midst of a booming population? How can we live a more sustainable lifestyle to balance our growing world with our delicate environment?
As we can see, the power of choice, choices made by individuals, by governments, by societies, are responsible for much of what's happening in the Chesapeake Bay. Joining our panel now to discuss sustainable growth and lifestyles in the Chesapeake Bay watershed is Joel Dunn. He's the president and CEO of the Chesapeake Conservancy. Mr. Dunn's work there is dedicated to sustainability issues. Also joining us is Adam Ortiz. Mr. Ortiz is director of the Prince George's County Department of the Environment. He has experience working on sustainability issues at the county level. So welcome to you both. Thanks for joining the group. Let's take a look at what this panel considers some of the more important obstacles to sustainable growth in the Chesapeake region. And again, we'll start with Dr. Bosch. You wrote that cheap energy allows sprawling development, creates a large human footprint on the landscape, and to counter that, you call for aggressive commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in all land use, zoning, and transportation decisions. Tim Wheeler, you wrote that a major obstacle to sustainability is population growth and development, and you said a productive counter to that is to set population targets within the carrying capacity limits of the bay. Kim Coble, you believe that overdevelopment and open land with unsustainable automobile-centric growth is not part of a sustainable model in the Chesapeake region, but you think that redevelopment using smart growth principles is one way to fix that. Joel Dunn believes our society lacks a widespread sustainable land ethic, and that's been a major obstacle to progress. He says the creation of innovative conservation programs fostering a connection between people and nature would be a good alternative. And finally, Adam Ortiz, you say that a major obstacle to sustainable living is outdated and polluting storm water infrastructure. Not something that everybody thinks about every day, but you say that private-public partnerships could help fix that, and it is a very serious problem. So, back I come, and back to Don Bosch. You drew the short straw of sitting closest to me, so I'm glad to cozy up and ask you about your observation about all this cheap energy that leads to sprawl. I'm curious as to what you propose to do about that in your alternative.
Yeah, as your set piece indicated, we're paving over the land faster than the population is growing, substantially faster. So how do we address this? And we've tried lots of other zoning and other options. We also, in Maryland, have committed to a 25% reduction of our greenhouse gases by 2020, 5 years before the pollution diet. So a very aggressive reduction for the Bay, right? So then we are and that's just a down payment. We're going to have to reduce our emissions even more than that.
But you call for aggressive commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in all land use, zoning, and transportation decisions. What would that look like? So
if we're going to have to reduce our emissions 50, 75%, why in the world would we grow and develop in ways that require automobiles to transport people? We should have requirements so that development plans account for not only the potential increases, but actually achieve a reduction of our emissions once we do that.
But what does that mean? Explain what that means. Does that mean somebody at a county or state level saying, no, you may not build here, no, you may not own 3 cars, no, you may not pave the road that wide? What exactly are you talking
Probably
about?
all of those, but the principal requirement is basically if you're going to have a development plan, continue sprawl, you also have to be able to demonstrate that you're not increasing our greenhouse gas emissions, because we can't afford to do that.
Adam Ortiz, you work for Prince George's County.
Yes, sir.
You are a public official. You may have the word environment in your title, but you are a public official. And public officials who work for the county are expected to have a safe county, one with good schools, and one with jobs.
That's right.
How would a county respond to this kind of alternative?
Well, I think we can do all the above. You know, the new requirements that we have to filter water in our neighborhoods require investment in infrastructure.
You think that you can build, though, the way he's talking about, with greenhouse gas emissions built into all zoning, all decisions?
Well, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to stick to the stuff that impacts the Chesapeake. We have to control the runoff. We have to filter it. And we can do that under the new laws with rain gardens and rain barrels.
Tim Wheeler, what do you think about what Don Bosch is suggesting and what it would take to bring that level of planning into the way we operate? I mean, developers build their neighborhoods. They're not plugged into an overall carbon footprint plan.
Land use is as you can imagine, because a lot of money is involved, is a very, very hot political button. And it's been very difficult to push, a much more modest agenda of what's called smart growth here in Maryland. There's been a lot of pushback from local governments, and driven in part by their concern about loss of growth and the developer interest in making money building houses. There has been some progress there, but the fact is smart growth is really a rearguard action.
Kim Coble, you're a scientist. The science of what Don Bosch, also a scientist, is talking about is probably pretty clear, but getting from the science to the public policy, how difficult would that be?
I don't think it's that difficult, and I think Don is making an excellent point that when we reduce the pollution from urban runoff, so the stormwater pollution in your setup piece you had, it's actually increasing in the amount of pollution going to the Bay. It's the only source that's increasing. And so as we work on solutions to decrease the amount of nutrients coming from urban stormwater, we are also going to gain the benefit of decreasing the greenhouse gases. And to hold the accountability on both of those pollutants, I think, makes a world of sense.
And baking that into all the planning and all the decision making
Yes.
is what you're saying. Okay, Tim Wheeler. Your obstacle, population growth and development. That's a big one. Your alternative, set population targets within the carrying capacity of the Bay. Pretty simple question. Who sets those targets?
Good question. I think we have to have the conversation. We have to talk about the fact that people are the problem. The main reason that we've spent $15 billion to basically hold the ground on the Chesapeake Bay is because we've been paddling against the tide of population growth. We've essentially neutralized the increased pollution from those people over these past 50 years. If we're going to make the progress to actually restore the Bay, we have to figure out how to do that. Growing smartly, more compactly, those help. But if we keep adding people, we're still going to overwhelm it in the end. And we have to talk about what is an ideal target population here?
Is this realistic? Is this even ethical?
Everything is ethical in a democratic society, is it not? I'm not suggesting.
I'm not sure we want to go there.
I'm not suggesting, limits on birth control. Birth control. I'm not suggesting that we, put up fences at the border.
But in this country, right? There's something special about our land.
Sure.
The frontier ethic. This is my land. Don't tread on me, right?
Wow.
So if it's not, if it's not an unethical question, you're certainly talking about changing the ethic or an ethic.
What I'm talking about is basically, again, changing incentives, changing land use and zoning and plans to plan for a population of an ideal size.
Joel Dunn, I know you wanted to jump in.
Well, I just was going to say, I think you hit on a pretty important concept with your idea there, and that is the tragedy of the commons. There's this really important ecological concept that with so much population growth, there's intense effect upon the resource, whether it's a commonly held field or a commonly held resource like the Chesapeake Bay. And population growth has indeed had an intense impact on the Chesapeake Bay. I think Tim brings up a really important point.
But can you imagine, and your work, and we'll get to your obstruction, your obstacle, and your idea in just a moment, but you work very much in land preservation, conservation. You know where the support is, you know where the opposition is. Can you imagine a democratic society making hard decisions to curb population growth?
No. I mean, at least not here. I think that we have to make better choices with the resources we have to better pinpoint where we're focusing our conservation effort. What Tim brings up is essentially the American ideal versus the impact on the environment.
Kim Coble, what do you make of this?
Well, I think Tim's a great guy, but I don't think that we are going to set a limit on population. But I think the fine point here is that we all have to understand our impact. And for us to dismiss that me as a single individual has no impact, or dismiss the impact I might have, is really what is at fault here. So as we have the discussion that one person, the impact might be small, but when you start adding everybody up in the audience and here, it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's where I think the discussion needs to be.
And Tim, it seems to me, and I hope you're right about this, and you have, I know, in terms of population and all the rest, that whether there are actual limits placed on it, being mindful of the capacities of the region and what we push with the limits that we define every day is a very important part of the conversation.
It is. And I think the fact is that whether you talk about putting a population limit on a region or a state, the closer you are to the water, the more impact you have. And it doesn't take very much pavement before you start to see the fish and the wildlife go away.
So, Kim, you're not too far off here with your ideas, your obstruction, your obstacle, unsustainable automobile-centric growth. And it was funny because tonight, as we were talking before we came out here, everybody was complaining about the traffic on the Beltway, right? So we build roads and then we have congestion. Your alternative, redevelopment using smart growth principles. Can you retrofit a region that has been so substantially developed already, and if so, how?
Yes, in fact, there's great models of retrofitting areas. If you think of parts of Baltimore where you might have rundown warehouses that are now vibrant condominiums and markets and shops and jobs, and everybody can walk to each of those. A city like Boston, for example, is highly dependent on mass transit, and a lot of people don't have cars, and everybody seems to enjoy living in Boston and having jobs and going to school and doing everything up there.
Tim, maybe we don't need population curbs if we get people to live more densely and more intelligently, as she's talking about.
That helps. That helps. What I think we need to talk about is how much growth is enough. Because we go from this notion that growth is good, and we promote growth, and we think that that's going to lead to a better way of living, it adds to the problem. And so what is an acceptable amount of growth, and how can we stay on top of that in order to actually make progress in restoring the bay?
Adam, pick up on Kim's idea here for a moment, and let's think about what you're seeing in your county and in communities. Millennials are moving into more urbanized environments. They are owning, especially where there's public transportation options, cars with lower frequency. Does that start to get to smart growth, smart redevelopment? Does the marketplace drive that?
Sure. So the question isn't whether we grow or not. We're going to grow. The question is, how do we grow? Can we grow in a way that is in harmony with the environment? I think under new technologies, low impact development, we can grow in a way that we can live in balance and bring Mother Nature back into our neighborhoods.
But can you, in Prince George's County, redevelop in a smart way, fast enough to have an impact on the Chesapeake by 2025, as we're talking about?
I believe we
we're
can.
back to resources there too, right?
I believe we can. Well, all the counties in the Chesapeake region have new resources to be able to clean the water. This is all the debate that's taken place in Annapolis, and we have the money and we have the mandate to do it. The question is, do we have the willpower to follow through?
Do we?
Most of the counties do. Prince George's, for one, certainly does.
All right, we'll come to you in just a minute and talk more about Prince George's County. All right, Joel, let's get to your obstacle and your alternative. Your obstacle, society lacks a widespread sustainable land ethic. Your alternative, create innovative conservation programs and a connection to nature. What are you talking about?
Well, I guess I'll introduce the topic by quoting my friend Oren Lyons, the faith keeper for the Iroquois Confederacy, who says that we need to think 7 generations ahead when we make decisions on what we do to the land.
I can't think 7 days ahead. This is a very worthy aspiration.
You know, it's about approximately 140 years. Can you imagine thinking about where we develop our roads and our new neighborhoods and our new cities and thinking, okay, well, how will that affect people 140 years from now? I mean, if we did think that way, I think we'd develop more sustainably.
And we'd think about our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren.
I'm just about to have a baby, so it's a big deal to me what world that baby's born into. And I want to make sure that he or she has an opportunity to connect with nature, to love the resource in the Chesapeake Bay the way I do, so that they vote for the Chesapeake Bay, so they donate for the Chesapeake Bay, so they commit their career to the Chesapeake Bay. And they won't be able to do that if we don't go out and protect the special places that are left in the Chesapeake Bay now. That ethic that I'm talking about, that sustainability ethic or that 7-generation ethic, takes exposure to the Chesapeake Bay. Being able to see the osprey flying over the water, to see that fish jump out of the water, and that requires public parks and open spaces and shorelines for them to access.
Let me congratulate you on the baby that you're about to have, but also make an observation that if your baby lives to the age that my mother lived, your baby will see the year 2100. So we are not speaking in some vastly abstract realm. We are talking about the lifetimes of our children and certainly our grandchildren. Do you think people care about the Bay?
I think people do care about the Bay. I think it's not enough people care about the Bay.
Do most people care about the Bay?
I think most people have not experienced the Chesapeake Bay like the people on this panel or maybe even the people in the audience have. I just met a guy who's lived in D.C. for a year who's never even been to the shores of the Chesapeake Bay.
How do you make him care about
You've got to give him a park to go to, first of all. You know, program open space, which is one of...
You've got to go and see and feel and smell?
Yes, that is essential. But it's, you know, program open space is a program in the state of Maryland that created all of our state parks and local parks, and that program has been continually cut by the legislature, by the governors of both political parties. We need to protect programs like that. We need to protect programs like the Chesapeake Bay Trust Fund that protects critical places for water quality. And we need to think differently about how we're pursuing conservation. We can't just depend upon regulation. We need to open up ecosystem-based markets, leverage technology, and find new ways to achieve our conservation objectives.
Kim, let me ask you to comment on what Joel's just laid out there, this notion of a land ethic, and how you make that take root.
Oh, there's a very effective way for that to occur, and that is to start with our children. Chesapeake Bay Foundation has a fabulous education program where we take 30,000 students, teachers, principals out into the bay and the rivers on the land every year.
Not all at once, I hope.
Every year, all over. And you know, you watch those children, some of them have never seen the bay, been on the water at all, get engaged, they hold a fish, they see a crab, they get dirty, they experience it. And by doing so, they learn to love it. And what we're seeing from that program alone is people coming back and establishing their careers based on the inspiration of those trips.
Can you make them connect to the science? at the same time?
Yeah, I think it'd be great if we had more people that had personal experience, young people as well as older people connecting. But the reality of it is that the vast majority of our population is not going to have those experiences. But we could make them, what they don't understand, the polls show that they actually care about the Bay, even though they don't go on the Bay. They care about it as a sense of place. It defines who we are. But what they don't understand is how what they do connects to the Bay. So part of that is education of those people as well.
Adam Ortiz, your turn.
Yes, sir.
Your obstruction, your problem, outdated stormwater infrastructure. This has got to be one of the least sexy things that one can think of. But it's enormously important, right?
That's
because every rainstorm that hits every driveway, that hits every road, that courses through every field is going to carry with it stuff into the water we drink and swim in and the fish are in. Your alternative? Leverage public-private partnerships. Give us some examples.
Sure, but I want to start by going back a bit because we talk about the Bay like it's this far-off thing, but the Bay is impacted by what we're doing in our neighborhoods. The Bay is impacted very real way in what we're doing right here in Owings Mill, what's happening in the parking lot outside where our cars are. So pollution in the Bay starts right in our neighborhoods, and people may care in an abstract way about the Bay, but they care very much in a real way about their own communities. So that's where we need to focus. And our focus with public-private partnerships is trying to leverage the private sector to be able to make money in restoration in neighborhoods where the pollution is beginning.
So give us an example in Prince George's County. Make it real for us here.
Sure. So I live in the Anacostia watershed. I live in Hyattsville, near Edmonston, in the port towns, and we drain directly into the Anacostia River, which goes to the Potomac, which goes into the Bay. In a very real way, there's pollution and runoff from industrial areas there that impact Don studies and everything else that we talk about in programs like this. We've begun to construct green streets, beautiful streetscapes that are lush, that to the average person driving through, they'll say, wow, this is a beautiful street.
Green streets, meaning?
That they filter the water before it goes into the river.
You're not painting the road green. You're planning alongside, you're planning runoff. Tell us what that involved.
You could paint the road green,
okay.
But it doesn't help the restoration necessarily. But it's a great branding idea, and I'm going to take that back.
We'll call it Frank Street, okay?
We'll call it Frank Street. So it's a sustainable way to treat the runoff from the water. And basically what happens is all the water, when it rains, just like in the clip a few minutes ago, the water goes usually into a storm drain and is piped directly into the local waterway.
Right.
What we want to do is interrupt that pollution pipeline with Mother Nature, with filtration, like Brita filters, using plants and soil and other natural filtrations to take those pollutants out, filter it, and then let clean water go in.
So what people should realize when they're driving on your green streets and they're seeing this planning, yes, it's aesthetic, but that hasn't been done just for the aesthetics. It's been done to actually interrupt the pollution that would otherwise flow straight into the storm drains and eventually into the waterways. Joe?
And that's why it's sexy, Frank, because seriously, because most people driving through will be like, wow, my neighborhood looks so much more beautiful. Wow, I want to get out and take my kids for a walk or a run. I want to go biking. They're going to have that experience, but to geeky people like us, we're going to know that the water is going to be cleaner before it goes into the river.
I love what Adam's doing to green gray infrastructure. Gray infrastructure being roads, tunnels for stormwater. He's making that more green. I also want to point out that it's really important to protect the existing green infrastructure that's out there. So the wetlands that are acting as kidneys for the water that's flowing off the land that are still intact, or those wild forests that are still out there in Maryland. We need to protect those things before they become parking lots or neighborhoods, because they play a very important role in keeping the balance. So it's both greening the gray infrastructure but protecting the existing green infrastructure.
I'd like to ask Kim, Tim, and Don very quickly, 15, 20 seconds each, because it's all we've got left, to leave us with a sense of optimism and hope here. Because we did observe that progress has been made. And if more progress can be made, maybe we can get to 2025 and hit those targets. So give us each an example, a success story, very briefly, and you can start with the rockfish or go wherever you want. Don, I'll let you start.
Well, you mentioned the rockfish, and this is
And
a
I mentioned that
situation-
because when I went fishing with my son, we were actually able to keep
Right,
them.
right, and it wasn't that long ago, 25 years or so ago, that we had rockfish populations decline to a so level. We controlled the harvest, managed it, and now the populations are sustainable.
Tim, very quickly.
Well, my favorite example would have to be oysters in the Bay. They're still at a fraction of their historic level, but here in Maryland, at least, they've begun to come back.
Kim, one sentence.
We had high school students come in and talk to legislators about their concern about protecting the Chesapeake Bay this year.
Progress all. So tonight we have talked about a lot of different things, and we've laid out the list for you. And on that list, we're going to give you a bit of a recap. We've talked about the destructive impact of nutrient pollution on the Chesapeake Bay and about some new and different strategies that might help address the problem more quickly. We've also discussed some ways that we might live more sustainably. So here's the final list of strategies that just might foster some additional progress on bay cleanup. For nutrient pollution, require farm management under a cap on nutrient surplus and make subsidies conditional. Make nutrient management compliance data available online. Increase and target financial and technical resources to farmers through state and federal cost share to encourage more best management practices. Establish additional technical assistance to help farmers achieve goals. Greater regulatory enforcement. For sustainability alternatives, commit to reducing greenhouse gas emissions in relation to all land use zoning and transportation planning. Set pollution targets within the carrying capacity of the bay. Redevelopment, use smart growth principles. Create innovative conservation programs to foster a connection to nature. Leverage public-private partnerships region-wide to retrofit obsolete stormwater infrastructure. Again, these lists cannot possibly touch on all the problems confronting the Chesapeake or every good idea to address them, but they can represent a set of benchmarks to hold ourselves accountable, be a start, keep the focus on solutions, and expand the conversation. Maryland Public Television, our partners at the Bay Journal, will follow up on this list over the next 18 months, and will continue this conversation, this urgent conversation about the Bay. Thanks to all of our panelists this evening and to you for watching. I'm Frank Sesno from Maryland Public Television. Good night.
The Chesapeake Bay Summit, Charting a Course, is made possible by the MPT Foundation New Initiatives Fund, established by Irene and Edward H. Kaplan.